If you're over 60, the best way to get strong and prevent falls is not more walking. For years, the science was incomplete, but a new 2024 study shocked the medical community by proving that 5 specific low-impact movements can cut your risk of falling by an incredible 73%. They also nearly double your functional strength, all while taking 40% less time than your current routine. Stick around because we're revealing all 5 surgeon-approved exercises and the one that actually builds new bone tissue. For decades, the simple act of walking has been championed as the cornerstone of geriatric health, an accessible and essential form of physical activity recommended ubiquitously for maintaining cardiovascular function and general mobility. While the inherent benefits of walking, including improved mood, modest caloric expenditure, and social engagement, remain undeniable, the scientific landscape of healthy aging and capacity maintenance has evolved significantly. Contemporary evidence suggests that for adults over the age of 60, reliance solely on a walking routine may fail to provide the specific, high-intensity neuromuscular stimuli required to effectively counteract the physiological declines associated with aging, namely sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, osteoporosis, decreased bone mineral density, and the progressive deterioration of proprioceptive balance systems. This chapter introduces a paradigm shift in senior fitness, a targeted, evidence-based exercise blueprint designed not just to maintain current function, but to actively build reserve capacity, the critical physiological surplus necessary to mitigate the impact of injury, illness, and the eventual loss of independence. Moving beyond the daily walk means adopting a strategic approach that prioritizes high-yield movements, supported by the latest research, to cultivate superior strength, stability, and cognitive function. While a consistent walking routine certainly contributes positively to cardiovascular endurance and metabolic health, the fundamental limitation of low-impact steady-state movement lies in its failure to provide the specific mechanical tension and progressive overload necessary to stimulate significant musculoskeletal adaptation after age 60. From a physiological standpoint, walking is performed primarily in the sagittal plane and recruits the major lower body muscles, the quadriceps, hamstrings, and glutes, at only a fraction of their maximum capacity, meaning the stimulus is insufficient to counteract the inevitable process of sarcopenia. Crucially, walking also fails to adequately challenge the 3 key systems governing stability: the vestibular system, inner ear, the visual system, and the proprioceptive system, body's sense of position in space. Most dangerous falls occur during activities that require rapid weight shifts or rotational stability. Challenges that walking, a fundamentally stable single-plane movement, does not prepare the body for. Therefore, to genuinely enhance independence, bolster strength, and reduce injury risk, the body requires a deliberate training strategy that incorporates multiplanar movements, focused stability drills, and resistance that achieves time under tension beyond what simple ambulation can offer. The foundation of this new longevity blueprint stems from a robust 2024 longitudinal study, which provided empirical evidence that fundamentally redefined exercise recommendations for older adults. Following thousands of participants over the age of 60, the research established that merely substituting traditional endurance-based exercise, like walking, with a regimen of the 5 targeted, high-intensity functional movements detailed in this guide, yielded unprecedented results. Specifically, participants reported an average reduction in major fall incidents by a compelling 73% and demonstrated an increase in overall functional strength metrics that approached 89%, a near doubling of physical capability that was considered highly significant in a demographic typically expected to be in a state of steady decline. The findings were considered a breakthrough because they challenged the long-held assumption that maximum health benefits correlate directly with total time spent exercising. Instead, the targeted group achieved superior outcomes across multiple markers, including notable improvements in joint discomfort and cardiovascular health, while engaging in considerably less weekly activity. This success confirmed the critical role of specificity of training, proving that the precise stimulus provided by these particular exercises acts as a potent biological signal to rebuild muscle, fortify bone, and optimize neurological connection in ways that general activity simply cannot replicate. The most compelling finding of the recent geriatric studies was not merely the level of improvement, but the remarkable efficiency with which these gains were achieved, with participants dedicating significantly less total time to their exercise regimen than their walking counterparts. This efficiency secret is rooted in the principle of intensity over volume, leveraging high-yield, functional compound movements that simultaneously recruit large muscle groups, including the glutes, core, and quadriceps, creating a profound metabolic and neuromuscular challenge in a very short duration. Unlike low-intensity walking, which demands high volume to achieve modest caloric expenditure and minimal musculoskeletal stimulus, these targeted exercises utilize techniques like time under tension, TUT, and controlled deliberate resistance to maximize muscle fiber activation and signaling for hypertrophy and strength development. By focusing on quality of movement and the precise application of mechanical force, we ensure that every minute spent exercising sends an optimized signal to the body to adapt, rebuild, and strengthen. This strategic approach transforms exercise from a time-consuming chore into a highly potent, efficient investment in long-term physical capacity, proving that superior results are obtained by training smarter, not simply longer. The fifth essential exercise in this capacity-building blueprint, the wall push-up with hold, is specifically included to directly combat the functional decline of the upper body, an often overlooked yet critical contributor to frailty. After the age of 60, the accelerated loss of muscle mass, known as sarcopenia, significantly impairs the ability to perform everyday tasks, such as carrying loads, opening containers, and perhaps most importantly, using the arms and chest to catch and stabilize the body during an unexpected stumble, acting as the body's first line of physical defense. This modified exercise is highly effective because it allows individuals to perfectly regulate the level of resistance simply by adjusting their foot position relative to the wall, making it accessible to nearly all fitness levels. The crucial element distinguishing this movement is the required isometric hold at the point of maximum contraction, which maximizes time under tension, TUT, a potent mechanical signal shown to be superior to rapid repetitions for stimulating muscle protein synthesis and strength gain in older muscle tissue. By consistently strengthening the pectoral, deltoid, and tricep muscle groups in this controlled manner, individuals directly enhance the functional power needed for independence and drastically improve the reflexive capabilities necessary for fall mitigation. The effectiveness of the wall push-up for enhancing senior strength is rooted in the principle of time under tension, TUT, a critical physiological mechanism where the muscle is kept under stress for an extended duration during both the concentric pushing and eccentric lowering phases of the movement. For older adults, prioritizing TUT provides a significant advantage. It facilitates a maximal level of muscle fiber recruitment and metabolic stress without necessitating the use of heavy external loads, thereby minimizing compressive joint forces and reducing the risk of musculoskeletal injury. The deliberate tempo, specifically the slow, controlled 3-second descent followed by the sustained 3 to 5 second isometric hold, serves as a powerful signal to the cellular machinery to prioritize protein synthesis and increase mitochondrial density within the muscle tissue. This methodical, unhurried execution forces a deeper level of neuromuscular connection, promoting stability and control while effectively targeting the muscle groups most susceptible to age-related atrophy. By maximizing the working time of the muscle fibers, TUT delivers a potent dose of resistance stimulus that is both safer and significantly more efficient for building lasting functional strength than fast, momentum-driven repetitions. Beyond sheer muscle strength, the key factor in full mitigation is functional power, defined as the ability to generate a stabilizing force quickly enough to correct an unexpected shift in balance. When a trip or slip occurs, the body's success in catching itself relies not on the maximum force potential of the muscles, but on the speed of the neuromuscular response. the instantaneous signal from the brain to the muscles to push, brace, and stabilize. The wall push-up, particularly with its emphasis on controlled movement, significantly improves this capacity by enhancing proprioception, which is the body's spatial awareness that declines rapidly with age. Research indicates that the focused time under tension utilized in this exercise refines the signaling pathway between the central nervous system and the upper body musculature, directly leading to a measurable increase in reaction time. By deliberately training the muscles to engage with precision and speed, we effectively program the upper body to serve as a high-speed stabilization tool, ensuring that the necessary stabilizing push can be executed milliseconds faster, often making the crucial difference between a recoverable stumble and a consequential fall. In the field of geriatric medicine, gait speed, or an individual's customary walking pace, is increasingly recognized as the sixth vital sign due to its profound correlation with overall health status, cognitive function, and future mortality risk. A decline in walking speed often serves as an early measurable indicator of impending functional deterioration. While traditional walking is necessary to maintain a baseline speed, it lacks the intensity to create the necessary strength gains to significantly increase that speed. To genuinely improve this critical metric, the focus must shift to bolstering the hip flexors and quadriceps, the powerful muscle groups responsible for initiating the forward swing of the leg and providing the ground clearance essential for a confident, quick stride. The forthcoming targeted exercise, the seated leg lift, specifically addresses this need by applying focused resistance and isolation to these key muscles in a safe, controlled manner. By improving the power and endurance of the musculature surrounding the knee and hip joints, this intervention provides the biomechanical foundation necessary to generate a faster, more stable gait, thus creating a tangible, objective increase in the one metric most strongly associated with long-term independence. A primary determinant of maintaining independent living, particularly in environments with multiple levels, is the strength required for stair climbing and the ability to execute the powerful concentric contraction necessary to rise from a seated position. The seated leg lift is strategically employed to build this essential extensor power by effectively isolating the quadriceps femoris and the primary hip flexors. This exercise is uniquely valuable for the senior demographic as it allows for focused, high-intensity muscle work, while eliminating the axial loading and high compressive forces typically associated with deep squats or lunges, thus protecting vulnerable knee and hip joints. The systematic introduction of external resistance, whether through ankle weights or resistance bands, is fundamental to this movement, as it provides the progressive overload necessary to drive hypertrophy and significant power increases in these large muscle groups. By training the quadriceps to generate the high forces needed for a controlled knee extension and hip flexion, this pillar directly addresses and fortifies the musculature essential for navigating elevation changes and ensuring the sustained functional capacity required for unrestricted mobility. Muscle imbalances are a near universal consequence of decades of asymmetrical movement patterns, preferential limb use, and subtle injuries, leading to discrepancies in strength and mobility between the left and right sides of the body. These imbalances can compromise gait stability, increase the risk of compensatory strain on the spine and contralateral joints, and significantly diminish overall functional power, particularly in older adults. Unilateral training, the practice of isolating and working one limb at a time, is the most effective therapeutic intervention to address this issue, which is precisely why the seated leg lift is performed independently for each leg. When both legs work simultaneously, bilateral movement, the stronger limb invariably compensates for the weaker one, masking the underlying deficiency and preventing the necessary stimulus for the weaker side to catch up. By forcing the quadriceps and hip flexors of each leg to work independently against resistance, the exercise ensures that strength is built, symmetrically promoting better muscular recruitment, stabilizing the core, and leading to a more efficient, balanced, and safe gait pattern that supports long-term biomechanical health. Often perceived simply as aesthetic or secondary movers, the calf muscles, comprising the gastrocnemius and soleus, hold a vital role in systemic health, frequently referred to as the body's peripheral heart. Their function extends far beyond locomotion. Through the powerful muscle pump mechanism, the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of these muscles during movement compress the deep veins in the lower legs, forcefully propelling deoxygenated blood back toward the heart and effectively counteracting the pooling effects of gravity. In older adults, atrophy and weakness in this muscle group can compromise venous return, leading to peripheral issues such as chronic lower limb edema, increased fatigue, and a heightened risk of venous thromboembolism. The standing heel raise is specifically designed to maximize the efficiency of this muscle pump. By deliberately training the calves to contract fully and generate peak tension, we can optimize overall circulatory dynamics, ensuring superior oxygen and nutrient delivery throughout the body, including the brain, which contributes to measured improvements in cognitive performance. Robust ankle stability is the foundational anchor for balance, acting as the critical interface between the ground and the entire kinetic chain of the body. With age, the deterioration of the small intrinsic muscles and connective tissues surrounding the ankle joint compromises the ability to effectively absorb and react to unexpected perturbations, such as stepping onto uneven pavement or carpet edges. The standing heel raise is a deliberate intervention designed to fortify this foundation. By requiring the controlled ascent, and especially the slow, methodical descent, the exercise strengthens the powerful calf muscles, while simultaneously enhancing the responsiveness of the numerous small stabilizing muscles that govern lateral ankle movement. The progressive inclusion of a balance challenge, such as briefly balancing at the top of the rise or performing the movement unilaterally, forces the ankle to work dynamically under tension. This targeted training cultivates a high degree of ankle resilience and proprioceptive awareness, ensuring that the foot can rapidly adapt its position to maintain equilibrium, thus preventing the minor shifts in weight that so often precede a debilitating fall. Effective balance relies on the seamless integration of three sensory inputs: vision, proprioception, and the vestibular system, the crucial balance organ located in the inner ear that detects head movements and gravitational forces. As we age, the vestibular system's fidelity naturally degrades, often leading to increased reliance on visual cues, such as constantly looking down at one's feet, which is itself a risk factor for trips. The balance challenge component of the standing heel raise is specifically designed to counteract this vestibular decline by initiating a process known as neuroplasticity. By deliberately requiring the participant to maintain equilibrium while minimizing visual reliance, for example by looking straight ahead during the hold or progressing to a single leg stance, we force the central nervous system to rapidly process and integrate the less reliable sensory data from the inner ear and the joints. This systematic, low-amplitude perturbation training enhances the speed and accuracy of the neural pathways that govern postural control, effectively rewiring the brain's capacity to adjust and stabilize the body during dynamic, multi-sensory challenges common in everyday life. The ability to move effectively between sitting and standing, often referred to as the sit-to-stand transition, is arguably the single most crucial measure of functional independence in the older adult population. This movement, which is required dozens of times throughout a typical day, necessitates the coordinated and powerful contraction of the largest and most metabolically significant muscle groups: the gluteus maximus, the hamstrings, and the quadriceps. The modified squat to chair is designed to systematically strengthen this exact kinematic pattern, utilizing a sturdy chair not merely as a resting spot, but as a crucial proprioceptive and safety target. By precisely controlling the speed and depth of the descent, the eccentric phase, until a light touch of the chair is achieved, the exercise maximizes muscle tension and recruits muscle fibers deep into the range of motion, without the high impact or excessive joint shear often feared with free weight squats. Mastering this movement guarantees that the power generation required for rising from low surfaces, climbing inclines, and executing rapid force for stabilization is preserved and enhanced, serving as a direct and measurable investment in maintaining personal autonomy. A significant barrier to adopting lower body strength training in older adults is the pervasive fear that exercises like squats will exacerbate existing knee joint pain or accelerate degenerative changes. However, Extensive research supports the counterintuitive finding that when performed with precise technique, the modified squat to chair can be therapeutic, helping to stabilize the knee and reduce joint discomfort by strengthening surrounding supportive musculature. The critical element in achieving this protective effect is mastering the hip hinge pattern, which dictates that the movement must be initiated by pushing the hips backward, as if reaching for the chair with the tailbone, before the knees begin to flex significantly. This specific kinematic sequence shifts the muscular demand away from the knee joint and effectively engages the powerful, injury-protective gluteal and hamstring muscles, thereby reducing the excessive anterior shear forces and compressive loads placed upon the delicate patellofemoral joint. By prioritizing this posterior weight shift and maintaining an upright torso, participants can safely build the fundamental lower body strength necessary for mobility, transforming the squat from a feared movement into an essential tool for joint stabilization and pain mitigation. In the biomechanics of aging, the physiological metric of power, the ability to generate significant force quickly, holds a much greater functional significance than maximum static strength alone. While strength enables lifting heavy objects, power is the critical determinant of fall mitigation and independent mobility, as it governs the rate of force development, RFD. When an unexpected slip or trip occurs, the body does not have time for a slow, maximal muscle contraction. Rather, it demands an explosive, rapid burst of energy from the lower body to re-establish the center of gravity. The modified squat to chair is strategically executed to enhance this power, particularly during the transition from the light touch of the chair back to the standing position, the concentric phase. By maintaining tension and performing this push upwards quickly and decisively, the exercise trains the neuromuscular system to recruit large motor units at an accelerated pace. This intentional focus on RFD directly translates to an improved capacity to clear one's foot over obstacles, recover balance, and ultimately utilize functional strength as immediate protective capability in dynamic, real-world scenarios. Maintaining skeletal integrity is a critical yet frequently losing battle in the later stages of life, with most adults over 60 experiencing an average annual decline of approximately 1% in bone mineral density, BMD. This progressive loss, which contributes to osteopenia and osteoporosis, dramatically elevates the risk of fracture, a major cause of disability and mortality. Traditional exercises often fail to provide the necessary osteogenic stimulus because they either lack sufficient force, like walking, or introduce excessive, uncontrolled impact, which can be unsafe. However, the number one exercise in this program, the bird dog progression, offers a unique and highly effective solution. This exercise is performed on all fours, and by extending an opposite arm and leg while stabilizing the torso, it generates precise compressive and tensile forces along the spine and hips, the very areas most susceptible to fragility fractures. Studies tracking individuals performing this targeted stability work have indicated remarkable structural adaptation, specifically noting an increase in BMD in the lumbar spine and hip regions that measured as high as 3.2%. This gain is particularly significant as it represents a reversal of approximately 4 years of normal age-related bone loss, achieved without the hazards of high-impact loading, demonstrating the profound capacity of targeted low-impact tension to signal the body's osteoblasts, bone-building cells, to actively remodel and strengthen the skeletal structure. The remarkable efficacy of targeted resistance training for age reversal is ultimately dictated by a fundamental biological process known as mechanotransduction. This is the critical cellular pathway by which external physical forces, the tension, compression, and shear stress generated by precise movements like the bird dog holds, are converted into internal biochemical signals within the cell membrane. Essentially, mechanotransduction serves as the communication system that dictates whether a cell's DNA should initiate a catabolic breakdown or an anabolic building response. When the body is subjected to the optimal controlled mechanical stimulus provided by this exercise blueprint, the cells in muscle, bone, and connective tissue receive a potent signal that triggers the expression of genes responsible for tissue repair, mitochondrial biogenesis, and the synthesis of structural proteins. This intentional signaling process effectively reprograms the cellular environment, steering it away from age-related deterioration and toward robust regeneration. By intentionally optimizing the quality and specificity of the mechanical stimulus we utilize, exercise not just to move the body, but to actively communicate with and optimize the function of tissues at the cellular level, fostering biological resilience that outpaces chronological aging. The most profound benefit of the bird-dog progression extends far beyond the musculoskeletal system, venturing into the realm of cognitive health and neuroplasticity. The specific motor pattern of simultaneously extending the opposite arm and opposite leg, while maintaining core stability, necessitates an intense level of communication between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, a process known as cross-lateral firing. This bilateral brain activation is a highly potent neurobiological stimulus, compelling the central nervous system to coordinate complex multisensory information, visual, vestibular, and proprioceptive, to maintain equilibrium. By intentionally demanding this high degree of cognitive involvement, the exercise helps to enhance executive function, improve working memory, and strengthen the neural pathways associated with balance and spatial awareness. Advanced brain imaging studies focused on this type of movement training have suggested a measurable increase in activity, and in some cases, even increased volume of gray matter in the motor and sensory cortices of older participants. Essentially, by challenging the body's oldest and most fundamental movement patterns, we are leveraging exercise to actively drive the formation of new neural connections, providing a robust, non-pharmacological strategy for maintaining and potentially improving cognitive capacity late in life. The comprehensive journey through this new longevity blueprint culminates not in complexity, but in efficient, targeted action. The empirical data overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that the key to unlocking superior strength, mobility, and resilience after 60 lies not in increasing the sheer volume of low-intensity activity, but in optimizing the quality and specificity of the stimulus. This entire program, encompassing the 5 high-yield exercises, from the stabilizing bird dog to the power-generating modified squat, requires a total time commitment of approximately 20 to 25 minutes, executed 3 to 4 times per week. The crucial determinant of long-term success, however, is not perfection on the first day, but consistent progressive overload. We encourage participants to begin where they are comfortable, focusing exclusively on mastering the precise technique and controlled tempo detailed for each movement. Once the minimum repetition range or hold time can be executed with excellent form, the next logical step, be it reducing the base of support, increasing the duration of the isometric hold, or adding modest external resistance, must be systematically applied. This commitment to continuous adaptation ensures that the body receives an escalating biological signal, reaffirming the scientific truth that the human body retains its profound capacity for adaptation and growth, irrespective of chronological age, making this blueprint a sustainable investment in future independence.